Now, the greatest radio shows of all time.
Suspense.
The Shadow Node.
Washington calling David Harding, counter-spy.
Classic radio theater.
The Great-Gildersleeve.
Fibber McGee and Molly.
Dragnet. Gunsmoke.
The Lone Ranger.
Now, step back into a time machine with your host, Wyatt Cox.
Good evening, friends of the Inner Sanctum.
All right, let's head to Summerfield and see what's going on with the Water Commissioner, Harold Peary, as the Great-Gildersleeve. This episode goes back to December 30th, 1945. It's New Year's Eve. Well, it's almost New Year's Eve. And it seems that Gildy doesn't have a date.
The Kraft Foods Company presents The Great-Gildersleeve. It's The Great-Gildersleeve, starring Harold Peary, brought to you by the Kraft Foods Company, makers of Parquet Margarine and a complete line of famous quality food products.
Christmas week. Christmas to New Year's. These are the times that try men's souls. All the things you rushed out and bought the day before Christmas come back to plague you the day after. I don't know how it's been at your house. You probably weren't foolish enough to buy the little darling a set of drums. But at our house, all week long, it's been nothing but... Now, Leroy. Now, my boy. Leroy. Leroy! I'm trying to do some figuring here. Could you possibly pursue your musical studies at some other time, my boy?
Oh, gosh, what's the use of having drums? Why did you give them to me if you...
Don't ask me why I gave them to you. I don't know. I must have been out of my head. I'm sorry, Leroy, if I seem a little impatient, but this is very difficult work I'm doing here. I'm trying to add up my accounts. So if you could find something else to do...
Will you play me a game of electric football?
There's your sister. Why don't you play something with her?
Play with her? Unky, if I ask you something, will you say yes, please? Will you please say yes?
Well, now, wait a minute.
I was nice about Christmas. I stayed home when you told me to. But this is different. New Year's Eve isn't like Christmas Eve, so please say I can do it. Please say yes.
My dear, if you'd calm down and explain what it is you want me to say yes to.
Oh, well, it's really a very nice place. Everybody says it's very nice. It's not run by gangsters or anything. And it'd be a chance to wear my new laughing jacket and my silver slippers. They'd be just perfect. So can I, please?
Leroy, do you know what your sister's talking about?
Does anybody? Now, Unky, don't be a tease. Say I can go. I'll just die if you don't. They have a band and favors and everything. And it's the grand opening New Year's Eve. And I've never been anywhere New Year's Eve. So can I?
I take it, my dear, that you're asking my permission to go out this evening.
Oh, that's right. To the Blue Cockatoo. You know, it's out on Route 28.
That the place that used to be Julius's Hofbrau? The place they closed down last year?
Oh, but it's under all new management. It's lovely now. Everybody says so. They're opening tonight. And Marshall's got reservations. His father got them for him, so can I go?
My dear, you know what I think of Marshall Bullard.
Well, you don't have to go with him. Please, Unky. It's Marshall's last evening at home. He has to go back to school tomorrow.
Thank heaven for that, my dear. I wish they'd keep him there.
Well, can I go or not?
All right, go ahead. Pay no attention to what I think. I'm nobody. I just pay the bills around here, that's all.
Oh, Unky, you're a darling.
Yes, yes.
Leroy, did you hear that? He said I could go. Oh, I could change. Get out of now. Just make her quit.
What's the matter?
She kissed me. What did I do? Still figuring, Unc?
Still figuring, Leroy.
Gosh, haven't you got the answer yet?
Almost, not quite.
Certainly takes you long enough.
This covers a whole year, my boy. Now let me alone or I'll never get it done.
When you finish, will you play me a game of electric football?
We'll see.
That's what you always say. Yes or no?
No, by George, I won't. I played electric football with you all day Christmas and every night this week. I'm sick of it. Now stop bothering me.
Unc,
Yes?
what can I do?
Leroy, how can you ask that? Here you got all this stuff for Christmas. Go out and play with it.
All I really want to play is electric football.
Well, find somebody else then, but get out of here and stop bothering me.
If I'm quiet, can I stay?
If you're quiet. Oh, where was I? Oh. 51 and 3 is 54. And 2 is 56.
Unc,
And 7 is 63. And 8 is 71. And 2 is 73.
Unc.
Just a second, Leroy.
Oh, Uncle Mort, do you mind if I...
Wyatt, can't you see Unc is busy?
I'm sorry.
Well, there it is. As of the close of business, December the 31st, 1945, flat broke. How do I do it? No matter how much I earn or how much I spend, it's always the same. Oh, well, at least I'm holding my own.
You mean we're in trouble?
Oh, no more than any other year.
Are we poor, Unc?
Just comfortably poor, I'd say, Leroy.
Miss Gilsleeve, excuse me.
Yes, Bertie?
About this evening. You'll be going out, I suppose, New Year's Eve.
Well, I don't know. To tell the truth, I haven't really got around to making any plans, Bertie. I've been so busy I sort of let it slide.
You'll be staying in then.
Well, I haven't really made up my mind yet. I'll let you know.
Well, Uncle Mort, if you're thinking of going out anywhere this evening, you'd better get busy.
You may be right.
Why, the Blue Cockatoo was sold out for New Year's Eve a week ago. If you think Christmas was bad...
Aw, don't go anywhere, Unc. You and I can have a swell time right here.
Doing what?
Playing electric football. We can have a...
That settles it. I'm not going to spend New Year's Eve playing electric football. Hello. Leela? Rocky? What you doing tonight, Leela? New Year's Eve, you know. We ought to... Oh. Oh, you are, huh? That's too bad. Well, Happy New Year anyway. Hello. Eve? Throckmorton Gildersleeve. I was wondering if you had any plans for this evening. I thought we might just... Oh. That's too bad. Wish I'd called you sooner. Well, Happy New Year, Eve. Hello, Miss Proudfoot? I don't know if you remember me, Miss Proudfoot, but this is Throckmorton Gildersleeve. I met you one time at Floyd Munson's. In the kitchen. I was wondering how you'd like to go out this evening and... Oh, you have. Nuts. I mean, Happy New Year. Hello, Judge? Gildy. Say, how'd it be if you and I got a couple of girls went out and painted the town a little? We could... Oh, you have, eh? Who is she? Yourself. Now what am I going to do? Spend New Year's Eve alone? Hey, wait a minute.
Mr. Gilsleeve, that you?
Yeah, here, Bertie. Grab some of these things.
My goodness, where all have you been?
Drugstore, delicatessen, every place. I'm going to have to ask you to help me here, Bertie. We got to work fast. Marjorie left yet?
No, sir, she's just getting ready upstairs.
Yeah, that's good. Now, I'll tell you what I want you to do. You set the table nice and pretty, Bertie. Let's see, Marjorie, Marshall, Leroy, and me. Yeah, better set it for 4.
But I thought Miss Marjorie and her friend were going out to dinner.
Now, don't ask questions, Bertie. Just do as I tell you, and quickly.
Yes, sir.
Got a lot of favors here. Paper hats and snappers and so on. You can decorate it with these. Oop, that must be Marshall. Well, you get the idea, Bertie. You fix everything nice and pretty, huh?
Yes, sir.
I'll just close these double doors so they can't see into the dining room. We want it to be a surprise. Yeah, the young brat. Can't he keep his shirt on?
Oh, Uncle Mort, if that's Marshall...
Don't you worry, my dear. I'll entertain him. You get down.
I'll be right there. And Uncle, do be nice to him.
Just leave it to your Uncle Throckmorton. You young twerp. Well, Marshall, come right in. Yes, indeed. Marjorie will be ready in a jiffy.
Good evening, sir.
Here, let me take your overcoat.
Oh, don't bother. I'll just...
That is an overcoat, isn't it? Let me hang it up for you.
Oh, we'll be going right out. Oh, here's Marjorie now.
Hello, Marshall.
Hey, you look wonderful.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, very pretty, my dear. Very pretty. So you young people were going out this evening, eh?
Why, Uncle Mort, you know we were.
Well, it's pretty cold out. Pretty nasty. I just came in myself. You couldn't drag me out again. No, sir.
Oh, we don't care how cold it gets, do we, Marshall?
No, we'll keep warm.
Yes. You were planning on going to some nightclub, were you?
Yes, sir, we have...
Well, I told you, Uncle Mort. Marshall has reservations for the Blue Cockatoo.
The Blue... Oh, yeah, so you did. Ever been to a nightclub on New Year's Eve before, either of you?
Well, no, sir. This is the first time that...
Horrible. Just horrible. Crowded, noisy, services bad, people falling all over each other.
Oh, we don't care, do we, Marshall?
No, sir, I don't know a worse place in the world than a nightclub on New Year's Eve. Now, I was just wondering if we couldn't all have more fun if we stayed right here at home.
Uncle Mort!
Now, wait a minute. I've got a surprise for you. You haven't seen the way I've got the dining room fixed up. All right, Bertie, you can open the doors if you're ready. There. How do you like that? You see? Paper hats, confetti, noisemakers, everything. Look. Some fun, eh? What do you say, Marshall?
Well, it looks swell, Mr. Gildersleeve, but what do you think, Marjorie?
I think it's a dirty trick.
Marjorie.
You told me we could go out, and now you pull this on us.
My dear, it's entirely up to you. Far be it from me to put any pressure on you. Nothing could be further from my mind. If you want to go out, go ahead. If you want to leave us here, Leroy and me, on New Year's Eve alone, with all these little tokens that we tried so hard to please you with, go ahead. Go ahead. We'll try to understand.
What do you think, Marge?
Oh, Unky, I wish you could come with us and be in on the fun.
Yeah, it's too bad the reservation is only for 2.
No, my dear. Run along and have your fun. Don't mind me. All I ask is at midnight, when the band plays Auld Lang Syne, give a thought to your old uncle, because he'll be thinking of you.
Oh, Unky, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, my dear. Happy New Year, Marge.
Happy New Year, sir. Well, shall we go, Marge?
Goodbye, Unky.
Bye. Well, Bertie, they're gone.
Yes, sir. Guess it didn't work.
What's that? Oh, yeah. No, I guess not.
Mr. Gildersleeve, you don't mind if I go out later after I finish the dishes?
No, go ahead, Bertie. Everybody else is going. You might as well go, too.
But, Mr. Gildersleeve, how about you? How you going to see the New Year in?
I shall probably play a game of electric football, Bertie, for Auld Lang Syne.
Poor Gildy. December 30th, 1945, The Great Gildersleeve, classic radio theater with Wyatt Cox. Thank you for tuning in to Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Now more of The Great Gildersleeve, December 30th, 1945.
Now let's get back to the Great Gildersleeve as he drags himself through the dying hours of the old year. It's after supper now, but the situation appears unchanged.
Come to me, my
Leroy! Why don't you learn the lyrics? My boy, for the rest of 1945, please, no drums.
There's nothing else to do.
Then go to bed. It's almost time anyway.
On New Year's Eve? I thought I could stay up till 12.
We've got to think of your health, you know.
I'm healthy. What if I should just happen to wake up at 12 o'clock?
Well, then you may celebrate a little.
Oh, boy, what can I do?
You can say Happy New Year and then go back to bed.
Is that all?
That is all. Now go to bed.
Okay.
Oh, Miss Gildersleeve.
Oh, what is it, Bertie?
I'm going out now if you don't mind.
Not at all. Have a good time. Happy New Year.
Thank you, Miss Gildersleeve. Same to you. The house is all locked up front and back, so you don't have to do anything.
Well, that's good.
Well, good night, Miss Gildersleeve.
Good night, Bertie. Wait a minute. Where are you going?
To a party. Kind of a combination dance and frolic.
Well, sounds like a good combination.
Sure is. Combined so good last New Year's, one man didn't come home for 3 days.
Well, you don't say.
Yes, sir. Well, good night, Miss Gildersleeve.
Young people, old people, every kind of people there, I suppose?
Yes, sir. Cradle to the grave. Young folks will jitterbug, I expect, and middle-aged folks, well, guess they'll jitterbug, too. The old folks get a waltz every 2 hours.
By George.
I better be going. I don't want to miss anything.
No, I guess not. Well, good night.
Good night, Miss Gildersleeve. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Bertie. Bertie has more fun than I do. Yes, sir, a lot more fun. I'd like to be going to a dance tonight myself. Say, I wonder what my secretary's doing tonight. I like the idea of going out with her, but just this once might not do any harm. I could call up and say, Bessie. Oh, no, I remember now. Out of town till Wednesday. Oh, well. Oh, doorbell. Well. Wonder who this could be. Leela, maybe. Eve. Peavy.
Hello, Mr. Gildersleeve. Happy New Year.
Well, the same to you, old man, and many up. Come on in and have a Coke.
Oh, I can't stay, I'm afraid. I just dropped by to bring you this little 1946 calendar with compliments to the pharmacy.
A calendar? Well, just what I needed. You'll at least come in for a second while I look at it.
Well, if you insist.
Say, what a beautiful calendar. The Alchemist.
Yeah, those are the fellows that used to try to make gold out of lead. Never got anywhere with it, not that I ever heard.
No, but they were the scientists of their day. Look at him, standing there with his test tubes and his crucibles. Fine picture.
Yeah, I think it makes up into a nice little calendar. For the family trade, that is.
Oh, perfect.
Calendar man tried to sell me a picture of a girl with black silk stockings.
Oh, well, that wouldn't do for your customers, Peavy.
That's what I say. Too bad, though.
Peavy, you're an old rascal.
No, I wouldn't say that. Picture never hurt anybody. You all alone this evening?
Yes, Peavy. I decided I didn't feel like whooping and hollering this New Year's Eve. Decided to spend a quiet evening at home for a change.
Is that a fact?
Yes, sir. Stay at home with a good book. That's the way to spend New Year's Eve.
That's one way.
Or with a friend, of course. Now, why don't you sit down here with me and take it easy?
Fact is, I've got to be getting home to Mrs. Peavy.
Well, sure, but there's no hurry, is there?
Nobody but a bachelor could say that. I'm sorry, but I've got to be running along.
Wait, Peavy. What are you doing to celebrate New Year's, you and Mrs. Peavy?
Well, she's like you. She likes to spend the evening quietly.
Perfect. Bring her over here and we'll all celebrate it together.
Well, I don't think...
Nonsense, Peavy. I've got some paper hats and some nice new horns. We can all drink a few Cokes or something. Huh? How about it?
Sounds noisy.
All right, get the horns then. We'll be as quiet as mice. We'll celebrate the quietest New Year's Eve in history.
Mr. Gildersleeve, I hesitate to say this, but you're talking like a darn fool.
What do you mean?
Well, if I were you, I wouldn't sit here with a Coke and a paper hat. I'd go out somewhere and make whoopee.
Well, why don't you?
Mrs. Peavy is against it. But you're a free agent. Go get yourself a girl, man. Go out and see the town.
Don't think I haven't tried, Peavy. Tried every girl I know.
Well, in that case, you might as well go to bed right now. Good night, Mr. Gildersleeve, and Happy New Year.
Well, looks like I'm stuck. New Year's Eve and not a friend that'll have a cup of kindness with me. Not a friend in the whole world. That's how I'm winding up 1945. Alone. I could be dying and who'd know it? It'll probably be just the same when I am dying. Nobody around to say a kind word. Nobody to soothe my fevered brow. Gildersleeve, let him die. Sure, let him die like a dog. Gosh, I wonder if I've got a temperature right now. Mustn't get ideas like that. Can't just sit here moping, though. Try the radio, maybe, and hear a little news. Can't believe it. Always thought I was popular. Been living in a fool's paradise, I guess. People just can't stand my personality.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, we're just about ready with the first of our series of transcontinental New Year's Eve celebrations. Here we are in Times Square, New York City. And when I say that Times Square is teeming with humanity, I don't want you to think I'm merely coining a phrase.
Must be almost midnight back there.
I asked one of the traffic cops how big the crowd was, and his guess was 200,000. Oh, looks more like 1 million to me.
What a dope. 1 million people couldn't get in Times Square.
Anyway, it's just a few seconds before midnight, and all these thousands of faces are looking up toward the big clock. They're waiting for the end of 1945. And here it is.
What a way to celebrate. Childish.
Yes, sir, 1945 is all over in Manhattan, and New York is giving 1946 a big hello. Now, I'll try to get a typical citizen here to tell you how he feels about it. I beg your pardon, sir. How do you like 1946 so far?
Lousy.
You talking to me, Bud? Yes, sir. Would you like to tell our listeners how you like 1946 so far? Best little old year I ever had so far, I see. And the young lady with you. Oh, boy, I wish you could see her, folks. How does she feel about it? How do you feel, honey?
Feel swell when I'm with you, honey.
How can they put that kind of drivel on the air? Well.
Happy New Year, Throckmorton.
Oh, it's you, is it, Judge? What happened to your date?
Well, I'd rather not speak of it if you don't mind. But if you're busy...
Not particularly. Come on in.
Thank you.
Throw your hat and coat any place. Come on in and have a Coke.
Very kind of you, old man.
What about your girl? Didn't she show up?
Oh, certainly she showed up. I took her to the gold room at the Hotel Summerfield.
Well, that's still pretty early.
I'd rather not discuss it, Gildy.
Well, suit yourself. I'll hear all about it tomorrow from whoever was in the gold room.
Dagnabbit, I'm afraid you will. Well, I suppose I might as well tell you what happened so you get the straight of it.
Sure, go ahead, Judge.
Well, I had a table at this place, and the young woman and myself were having a pleasant time, chatting and so on, till a sailor appeared. She seemed to be acquainted with him.
Yes?
Oh, what a mess. December 30th, 1945, New Year's Eve, with the great Gildersleeve, Harold Peary starring. You're listening to Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, and the conclusion follows these messages. Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, the conclusion of the Great Gildersleeve, December 30th, 1945, New Year's Eve in Summerfield.
The sailor asked her to dance, so not wishing to quarrel with the armed forces, I made no protest.
Yes, I see.
However, after the fifth dance, I felt that I'd done my duty. I remarked to the young woman I thought it was my turn.
And?
She slapped my face and walked out with the sailor. I thought I might expect a little sympathy.
Oh, I'm sympathetic, Judge. Believe me, I am. Only...
Fine friend, I must say.
I'm sorry, Horace. Honestly, I'm sorry, but that's women for you. Come on, sit down and forget it.
I certainly like it, but I'm afraid I'll hear plenty about it tomorrow.
Anybody mentions it to me, Judge, I'll punch him right in the nose. Here, have a drink.
Thanks, Gildy.
Certainly glad you came by, old man. I've been sitting here feeling sorry for myself. Sitting here alone all evening. I'd begun to think maybe there was something the matter with me. Something wrong with my personality.
By George, I don't know why you should think there's anything wrong with your personality, old man. You've got plenty of it.
Oh, you really think so?
I do, sincerely.
Good old Horace. Here's to you, old man. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Yes, sir. When Leela Ransom, a girl I've been engaged to, mind you, when she thinks so little of me, she won't even save me New Year's Eve. Well, makes a fellow wonder, that's all.
Oh, don't be silly. Why, Leela thinks more of you in 2 minutes than she does about any other man in 10 years. You're a he-man. Strong, masculine personality. And yet you know how to handle women.
Yeah, guess you're right. Guess Leela was just standing me up tonight to make me jealous. Yeah. May I fill up your glass?
No, not yet. Thank you, thank you. You know, Throckmorton, having that girl walk out on me tonight was a bit of a blow to my ego. Quite a blow. I had the feeling that she found me attractive. She laughed at the little things that I said about the menu. She laughed when I showed her that stunt, you know, with the spoon and the salt cellar. I thought that we were getting on splendidly. Do you suppose I seemed old to her?
Oh, no, Horace. Believe me, any woman would guess you weren't a day over 55.
Well, I'm only 62.
You certainly don't show it. I mean, you look lots younger, Horace. Yes, sir. The way you carry yourself, the spring in your step, the sparkle in your eye. I've seen women look at you when they walk down the street, Judge.
You have, Gildy? Recently?
Plenty of time. Women. They need us more than we need them. Have another Coke, Judge. Well, I'm certainly glad you dropped in, Horace.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Hey, the old tack factory. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Gildy.
Oh, wait a minute. I forgot the paper hat.
For goodness sake, a regular party.
Here, Judge. You take the red hat. I look better in green.
Oh, Gildy, you certainly look funny.
You ought to see yourself, Horace. Look like a tomato. Here, blow a horn. Blow two if you've got the wind. By George. Should old acquaintance be forgot and never brought to mind?
Hey, now, Happy New Year!
Leroy, get back in bed. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
We'll take a cup of kindness yet for old lang syne.
What a pair of characters.
Ladies and gentlemen, the United States Treasury has asked us to announce that the sale of savings bonds will be continued now that the war is over. This means that those of us who have been participating in payroll savings plans can go right on laying up a nest egg for the future, at the same time helping to control runaway prices. You can still get F and G bonds as well as the E bonds, which most people bought during the war. The return is still at the same high rate, $4 at maturity for every 3 that you invest. Might be a good New Year's resolution to buy U.S. Treasury savings bonds regularly. Good night and a Happy New Year.
The Great Gildersleeve is played by Harold Peary. It is written by John Whedon and Sam Moore. The music is by Jack Meakin. This is John Lang speaking for the Kraft Foods Company and inviting you to listen in again next week for the further adventures of the Great Gildersleeve.
December 30th, 1945, The Great Gildersleeve on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Well, as he's so fond of saying, here's the wind-up, part 5 of the 5-part yours truly Johnny Dollar story, The Forbes Matter. This originally broadcast December 30th, 1955.
From Hollywood, it's time now for
Johnny Dollar.
This is Betsy Walker, Mr. Dollar. I'm up and around.
Yes, thanks for calling. Have any time this morning?
I think so.
If possible, I'd like to come over to your apartment again and take an inventory of the gifts that Sheldon Forbes sent you.
That'll be all right, sure.
About an hour?
Sure. I couldn't sleep much last night thinking about all this. I mean, he stole that money because of me.
You mustn't feel that way, Miss Walker. He knew what he was doing. You had no part in the theft.
I have the gifts.
Well, we may have to take those away from you.
I don't mind that. You said he tried suicide. How is he this morning?
I just talked to the hospital. He's going to be all right.
But he has to go to prison?
Yes.
Funny world, Mr. Dollar.
Yeah.
Tonight and every weekday night, Bob Bailey in the transcribed adventures of the man with the action-packed expense account, America's fabulous freelance insurance investigator.
Yours truly, Johnny Dollar. Expense account submitted by Special Investigator Johnny Dollar to the Continental Adjustment Bureau, 418 Elizabeth Avenue, Hartford, Connecticut. The following is an accounting of expenditures during my investigation of the Forbes matter. More expenses, items 11 to 16. $78.40. Cab fares, meals, accounting services, legal services, cab fares, and more cab fares. I made a comprehensive inventory at Betsy Walker's apartment and spent the rest of the day tracking down the places where the items had been purchased and ascertaining their retail values. Total, $2,780 worth of gifts, bought with stolen money. Betsy Walker also told me that Sheldon Forbes had made appointments to meet her at various times at very expensive restaurants in New York. She had never once kept any of these appointments, but a check with the Waldorf, 21, the Stork, and several other places revealed that Forbes had always made elaborate arrangements to entertain her. His restaurant bills came to $835. The florist bill, $670. Total amount spent, $4,285. Total amount stolen, $4,285. Century Styles Incorporated footed the bill in his unsuccessful courtship of Betsy Walker. Hello.
Hi.
Remember me, Forbes?
Sure, insurance man. Well, what now?
How do you feel?
Okay. You saved me, didn't you?
I suppose so.
Why?
Same reason you'd save a man who was dying.
Huh.
You know what I've been doing?
What?
Answering the questions you wouldn't answer. I met Betsy Walker.
What?
My job, Forbes. I had to.
How did you know about her?
I followed you night before last. When you got out on bail, I saw you go to the theater.
Listen, you had no right to go to her. You have no right to involve her in any of this.
Why didn't you think of that a month or so ago? It's the company's money you've been spending on her. I had every right, as unpleasant as it is.
I suppose she knows all about me now.
That's right, all.
Boy, I sure must look like the prize sucker of all time. Just to handed her a laugh.
She didn't think it was one bit funny. And Forbes, I don't think it's funny either.
Then what are you standing here for? Lording it over me?
I'm not doing that at all. I'm just here to let you know how things are at the moment.
All right. How are things?
Well, first off, we took back all the gifts you gave her.
Dirty skunk.
Don't get mad at me, Forbes. Get mad at yourself. I didn't steal the money and try to impress her. You did.
Why didn't you leave it alone? What difference does the money make to you?
Nothing to me, but it means something to my insurance company. They still want it back. And they'll get as much back as they can.
Well, good for them. What do you want now?
Your signature. I think I traced most of it down. You want to look this over? Go ahead. Those figures about right?
I suppose so. I didn't keep track.
Approximately?
I suppose so. You're pretty thorough, aren't you?
We have to be. Will you sign this?
No.
It'll help to clear up our bookwork a little. What difference does it make now? We've got you cold.
Okay. What difference does it make? Give me.
Okay, thanks.
That's all it means to you, isn't it? Dollars and cents.
Dollars and cents that were stolen, Forbes. Remember that.
You wouldn't let me forget it.
No, I wouldn't. You did the dumbest thing in the world. You stole nearly $5,000 trying to make an impression on a girl who didn't want to have a thing to do with you. You went about it wrong from top to bottom. You've acted like the great stone face ever since you've been found out. You wouldn't bother telling me about it. I had to go out and find out myself. Off the record, Forbes, what'd you do? See her on the stage one night?
No, at the office.
Office? Your office?
No, not exactly. Ellie was having a showing for some buyers from the West Coast one day a few weeks ago. For those kind of showings, he hires models from the agency. Betsy's listed with one of the agencies. You know, she acts and sings and models.
Oh, sure.
Well, I happened to be upstairs when the showing was going on. There were a lot of publicity people there taking pictures and so on. And I saw her. She was wearing a black dress, and her hair was soft. She's got a smile like all the sun risings. Sounds silly?
Not at all.
It's just that I never in all my life saw anyone like her before.
Yeah.
I don't know how it is with other guys, but she was for me from then on. I couldn't get her out of my mind. I found out her name, and then I found out she worked in that show at the Empress Theater.
Yeah?
All I had was her name. I didn't know how to go about meeting her. I just didn't know.
You figured a little money might attract her to you.
I've heard that's the best way to do it.
It's one way. Not the best way, kid.
Probably not. The best way I could think of.
What did you think about taking the money?
I thought I'd be able to stick it back. I guess I really didn't think much beyond just meeting her. Having her look at me the way I wanted her to look at me.
What?
It was the wrong way to go about it, sure. But then did you ever think of my alternative? I'd thought of it. I pictured myself knocking on her door one night, and I could see her answering it. "I'm Shelley Forbes, Betsy," I'd say. "Clothes don't make the man," I'd say, while she sort of took in my tweed suit and the only coat I've got to my name. "Listen," I'd say, "I got an 8x10 apartment over on 59th Street. The halls always smell like cabbage, but I'm a heck of a fine guy. And I drive a 1946 Ford that misses a little, but it's good enough for us." Then I'd say, "Why don't you toss on your mink, and we'll go over to my dump, and we'll have a bottle of beer, and I'll tell you how much I love you. How about that?" Some alternative, huh? She makes more money in an hour than I make in a week. I couldn't even afford to keep her in cigarettes. Lord, I wanted her like nothing in my whole life.
She might have taken you up on it, Forbes, if you'd put it that way.
Yeah? What makes you think so?
She wasn't impressed by any money or any gifts. More than that, I met her. She's a pretty nice girl.
Yeah.
Up until the time I talked with Sheldon Forbes in the hospital, I'd always had my doubts about love happening at first sight. After my talk with him, I was convinced that it could and did happen to him. I was sorry that he didn't know quite how to handle it. I was also wondering, if I'd been in his shoes, would I have done the same thing? Expense account item 17, $4.90. I sent a wire to my home office telling them that the recovery would be in the amount of something like $2,500, obtainable on the redeemable gift items recovered. After that, I went back to my hotel. I was surprised to find Betsy Walker waiting in the lobby.
Hello, Mr. Dollar.
Why, hello.
I was afraid you might leave town. I wanted to talk to you.
Sure, you just caught me. I was going upstairs and pack. What is it?
Could we have a drink or something?
Sure. Expense account item 18, $2, 2 drinks. For Betsy Walker and myself at the hotel bar. It was midday and there wasn't much action. She sat across from me, ordered an old-fashioned, and asked for a cigarette.
Thank you.
Sure.
What'll happen to him?
Forbes?
Yes.
Oh, he'll be sentenced Monday. They canceled the Friday scheduling because he was in the hospital.
He'll go to prison?
Yes.
Have you seen him since he tried to kill himself?
Just left him.
I guess he feels awful.
Yeah.
I told you I haven't been able to sleep thinking about all this. Well, about him, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Would he have to go to prison even if all the money was returned?
Only half of it's redeemable. The rest, florist bills, restaurants and so on, just gone.
How much does it come to, Mr. Dollar?
Short about $2,000, roughly.
If you had that money, what would happen to him?
Oh, well, it'd be up to the court. I'd say he'd have a good chance of getting off if he changed his plea.
Could I get him to change his plea?
I think you could get him to do anything.
I want to pay it.
You what?
I want to pay that other $2,000 for him and get him to change his plea. I'll make up the whole thing.
Hey, now, look, Miss Walker, I know your motives might be the best, but you aren't responsible in any way for this man's actions.
He stole money because of me. He tried suicide because of me. And now he's going to prison because of me.
But you had nothing to do with it, no part of it.
You may think I'm 22 years old. I'll be 29 next month. I'm not much of an actress or a singer or anything else. But I've been around this town and I know my way around. And I met all kinds. Whoever he is, whatever he's done, he's the first man I've ever known who actually went out on a limb for a girl he loved. I'm the girl and he's the man.
You're serious?
I probably won't remember his name a year from now. But that poor, stupid, wonderful dumbbell, he doesn't belong in any prison. He ought to get married to some nice girl somewhere. I want to help him get out of this trouble. Can I?
Betsy?
After all, he's given me something. Call it faith in mankind again, if you like. What's the kiss for?
What you just gave me, Betsy. Faith. Expense account item 19, $48, hotel. Item 20, $37, meals. 21, $15, miscellaneous. 22, same as item 1, $28.63, fare back to Hartford. Total cost of investigation, $363.51. Remarks? She got Forbes to change his plea. She paid back the additional money. He comes to trial next week. He might get a suspended sentence. Yours truly, Johnny Dollar.
Remember, there'll be another intriguing story for you beginning next Monday night.
Next week, a trip south of the border where the flashing eyes of a dark-haired senorita spells plenty of, well, believe me, romance and trouble can go hand in hand. Join us, won't you? Yours truly, Johnny Dollar.
Yours truly, Johnny Dollar, starring Bob Bailey, is transcribed in Hollywood. Written by John Dawson, it is produced and directed by Jack Johnstone. Heard in this week's cast were Lillian Baeff, Sandra Gould, Jack Edwards, Herb Ellis, James McCallion, Parley Bear, John Stevenson, Howard McNair, Bob Bruce, and Junius Matthews. Musical supervision by Amerigo Marino. Be sure to join us on Monday night, same time and station, for another exciting story of yours truly, Johnny Dollar. Roy Rowan speaking.
Yours truly, Johnny Dollar story with a happy ending. Yours truly, Johnny Dollar, December 30th, 1955, here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Thank you so much for making us a part of your day. Visit our webpage, classicradio.stream, where you can stream our shows, learn about building a classic radio collection of your own. Got a list of websites up there and podcast providers that have our show available there as well. You can also contact me. You can find our social media links. And if you want to help us keep this show up and running, you can buy me a coffee. The Buy Me a Coffee money goes to keep our distribution channels open and helps us acquire additional classic radio programs to bring you here. We have some great collections that we are lining up for the next year. Thanks for making us a part of your day. Please thank this station, support their advertisers, and as always, tell your friends the great radio shows are right here at this spot on the dial. Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox on your favorite radio station.